Hi, guys. This is Maddie Fennell, Executive Director of the Nebraska State Education Association, and I'm very pleased to welcome you to another evening of our Facebook Live chats. Thanks for all of you who are joining us. I hope you got a chance to go out today and enjoy some of the beautiful weather. My son took the dog on another one of the obligatory walks. I did a little ran my other brother around grocery shopping, so it was nice to be out and about today, especially considering it was snowing and icy just 48 hours ago or so. So it was great to be outside. You know, we have a saying, if you don't like the weather in Nebraska, wait an hour because it changes. So tonight we have a little bit of a different format. You may notice these beautiful bookshelves behind me. I am doing this from my office. So Lord knows you may hear my son Derek come in. You may hear the dogs bark. You will probably hear the cuckoo clocks go off. Something that I'm sure all of you, those kinds of personal interruptions have been happening for many of you in the last week if you've tried to do your classes over different mediums. And so thanks to our wonderful communication staff, especially Christy, who does our social media, we figured out a way to do Zoom onto Facebook Live. And so we're excited to be able to still bring you information in a timely manner tonight. So in a minute, I'm going to introduce you to our wonderful president of the NEA, or Jenny gets to do that. We'll switch it over. But before I do that, I do have a couple of announcements as we start the night out. First of all, I want to let you know that the Teacher TV schedule for Monday is already up. We did hear loud and clear that people wished they knew what was happening with Teacher TV and what the lessons would be. Quite honestly, folks, we've been building this plane as we fly it. And so our teachers have been rushing to get lessons to us, but we've been able to catch up a little bit over the weekend thanks to the wonderful team of teachers who are providing us lessons. And so the lessons are up for elementary, which is 9 to 11. Secondary, which is 1 to 3, and then for our Spanish-speaking students, that's available beginning at 10 a.m. On the Telemundo network. You can access all of this by going to our NSEA.org website, and you'll see from there, if you click on the top box that says coronavirus, then it'll take you to our page with all of the information we feel is the most pertinent to you right now. And one of those is the link to Teacher TV, so you can get it that way. We also need more teachers to be submitting lessons. We want you, please, to be a part of this. If you're a student member, if you're a current active teacher, if you're a retired teacher, if you're a teacher from another state who happened to hear about us tonight in Nebraska because the NEA president is joining us, we would love for you to submit a lesson of 27 to 54 minutes taped from Teacher, and we'll show it on Teacher TV. You can tape it, you can get it to us. If you're interested, all you have to do is go to nsea.org/volunteer. Also right from our coronavirus box on our website. And we would love for you to volunteer, and one of our teacher leaders will reach out to you. This Teacher TV is completely run by teachers. They're a team of teachers organizing other teachers to get lessons out to kids. We're doing this because we know that many of our kids are struggling with the digital divide, and this medium is available to many of our kids statewide with just a simple $10 antenna. So please, we need more teachers to be submitting lessons. So please go to nsea.org/volunteer and learn how you too can submit a lesson. We also are having webinars from teachers on a whole host of topics. There's a lot of things that are happening right now with student loans, with online different type of mediums you can use and platforms you can use. And so we are having those websites for you to give you more up-to-date information. Also some things on stress and trauma, because this is another type of trauma, not only for educators, but for kids too. And so we're offering a lot of those, and you can find that information at nsea.org not splash, we're not going swimming, it's too cold, /webinars. And you can sign up to participate in any of those webinars. So Teacher TV, the schedule is up on our Facebook page. Teacher TV, you can sign up as a volunteer on our website. And then if you want more information on webinars, that's also on our website. And with that, I'm going to turn everything over to our fabulous, healthy president, Jenni Benson. Jenni, it's all yours.
Thank you, Maddie. I'm really excited for the day. We were chatting just a little bit before this started, and Lily and I were talking about how busy everyone is with everything that's going on. We thought, oh, maybe we'll have a little downtime, and that's just not what's happening at all. We are busy with our families and trying to do things and trying to keep ahead of things. And we also are just busy doing the work. And we appreciate everything that our educators are doing, our education support professionals, our administrators. Everyone is working together. I keep seeing that on commercials on television we're all in this together and we're all going to get out of this together. And I know that we are really working on lots of different areas. And I just really appreciate Lily taking time out of her very busy schedule. And for those of you that don't know Lily, Lily is a teacher from Utah. And once a teacher, always a teacher, no matter when we are in a leadership position, we're always a teacher. I did a lesson on Teacher TV and I'm excited. I've got my next lesson ready to go. I just have to find the time to videotape it so I can get it uploaded. And Rita from Lincoln, our president in Lincoln, I saw on Facebook that she said, that would be a great thing for Lily to do. You could do some singing, Lily. You could do some lesson. That would be so much fun to upload a video, 30 minutes. We will take it. Well, I'll send you the information. Lily, thank you very much for joining us. What do you want to tell us tonight?
Oh, I'm just so thrilled. I am so thrilled. And now I'm starting to think of what lesson I could do. Favorite lesson for my sixth graders was our hygiene / fine arts, where all of my kids knew all of the words to don't stick your finger up your nose because your nose knows it's not the place it goes. And I think that actually,
that is appropriate.
Yes. I mean, that is a song for our time.
It is.
And so, yes, I'll be working on that. I'll be working on that over the weekend. And yes, Jenny and I, as we were talking, and I was thinking, I travel so much. I get invitations from all over the country and to talk about what's going on in public education and what we're facing as educators today. And I'm not getting on any airplanes. I'm not going to big conferences and even delegate assemblies. Things are being canceled right and left. But all of us that are doing this have found out just sitting in front of our laptop, with our computer or our smartphone or whatever, folks want to convene in some way. It's why those of you that are on this tonight are here on a nice Sunday. I don't even know days of the week anymore. I believe it's Sunday. Someone will have to
Definitely
check that for me. But I have Zoom calls and FaceTime calls, and the press has been asking a lot about, what's going on with schools and with students. So they are asking a lot of questions, and I'm telling you that I have been bragging about Nebraska everywhere. I get a lot of, we were doing CNN, we were doing we were doing, you name it. Folks are calling me, the New York Times, the Washington Post, little radio stations. And our folks at NEA are working from their kitchen tables. But our communications folks are out there when some reporter wants to know what's going on, or they're going out to those big places like CNN saying, you should be doing a story on this. So I've been able to tell them, you need to talk to Jenni Benson in Nebraska, because a lot of the questions they're asking have to do with online learning. And are teachers really prepared to do that? Were they trained to do that? In a lot of cases, the answer is no. But the bigger question is, even if you were able to get something up and running online, would all the kids have access? Do all the kids have Wi-Fi? Do all the kids have a tablet or their parents' laptop? And you know that the answer is no. For a lot of these kids, if that's the way you're delivering it, you're basically saying, gosh, if your parents have some money, here, this is for you. And if they don't, oh, so sad. You didn't even think to do that in Nebraska. You knew, all right, which kids don't have, and what are we going to design for them? And to actually go to your local TV stations and say, give us time. We will fill those 4 hours. We will make sure elementary and secondary kids have meaningful experiences, and you're doing it for kids that don't speak English. You're doing it for kids that have so little, and you're doing it for all the other kids too who could be doing things online, but they're going, wow, this is kind of cool. Parents are tuning in, getting some ideas. NSEA, the support you're giving to your members so that they can reach their students is just phenomenal. And I have been honored all week long to be singing your praises, and let folks know here is an example of folks, not the richest state. I'm pretty sure I'm safe in saying that they aren't throwing
Pretty sure.
at public schools or public school teachers. Very, very few of the Nebraska State Education Association members, and Maddie, you tell me if this is true, are actually millionaires. I'm pretty sure there are very few of your
Not.
members, who are gazillionaires. You're just professionals. And the partnerships that I've seen, the partnerships that Jenny, you told me about, the Commissioner of Education, the governor's office, administrators are calling the people who know the names of their students. And they're saying, you're the professionals. We don't even know where to begin. And you guys, out of your own creativity and your own commitment to your students, have designed something that is inspirational. There's not a lot of bells and whistles to it. It's just good old common sense. How do we get our kids to pay attention, give them something meaningful to do every single day, knowing that some parents can supplement that and some parents can't. But you rock. You
Thank
totally
you.
rock.
We appreciate that. What are you hearing nationally, though, for some of the same things that we're dealing with in Nebraska? So, that access, that equality, that equity piece. What are you hearing across the nation? Some other things that are happening. Those are things that teachers are very concerned about, that they're worried about those kids that are in those situations. And, we know in Nebraska that the National Education Association is helping us, but we also know the Department of Ed nationally, and Betsy DeVos probably doesn't have our best interests at heart, and the best interests of all of our students. So what are you hearing out there that could help us here in Nebraska as well?
I appreciate the question, Jenny. I don't know why all of a sudden there's dust in we got a barbecue going outside. So no, I am fine. I am not coughing.
That's okay.
Yes, please.
Drink water.
Yes, people who see coughing and my husband's out there barbecuing, and that
Yep.
means everybody's safe. But the kinds of things that we were trying to get, that Congress has passed now 3 really significant pieces of legislation. And I want to thank all of our members when we send out emails to all of the people that said, if you need something, I'll make some phone calls. None of us are like getting on a plane or going to talk to our congressman. They are all online. They have Facebook pages or web pages. They have phones that still work. And when we would tell our members something is coming down the pike, and it has to do with teachers who are paying off their student loans. This has to do with making sure states have extra resources to make sure that when the crisis, which we're all in the middle of now and nowhere near out of, that means that all these businesses are closing. And they're not paying sales taxes. They're not paying their taxes because they don't have customers. It means that every state's revenue is going to be in a crisis in a few months when those tax revenues don't come in. And guess what runs our schools? Tax revenue. So we've been able to convince thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of some of you that are on this call tonight to call your senator, call your congressman, and those calls have worked. We've had some very significant assistance that's going to go to states, that's going to go to people paying off their student loans. One of the things we did not get yet, but there's still more opportunities coming up, is it has to do with how do we get broadband into those houses, into neighborhoods, and sometimes those are dense urban areas, and a lot of times they're rural areas out there, in the middle of farming country.
Definitely.
Exactly. And Nebraska, you've got kids in the middle of Omaha, and you've got kids that are in rural districts. And so we're trying to get some special financial help that a school district, that a community can then access very, very low cost broadband Wi-Fi. We want to give school districts the ability to have some extra resources where they can check out iPads to kids that they can take home because they have access to the internet. So we've been working on some things that are short term and some things that are long term. And the one thing we really didn't need from Betsy DeVos, because she was silent on all of this.
Yep.
All of the things, we had a list of ways that they could help states, help families, help educators. And one of the things that came out of a press conference with Betsy DeVos was something that was like prepackaged vouchers. And if a family wants to abandon their public school and do something with private schools, let's make sure that they have voucher money. Instead of giving it to the public school teachers, the districts, the state offices of education, the people that are saying, here's what we need to make sure that all of our kids have what they need, to give money for a private school. It was unbelievable to me. Unbelievable.
So I think that one of the things that you mentioned earlier was that you had a lot of people contacting their representatives. I think a lot of times that our teachers and our educational support professionals and even administrators, they don't use their voice. And I think this is a time for them to be able to reach out and to let their elected officials, from school boards all the way up to Congress, know what is happening. Because I think sometimes it's our job to educate what's happening in our schools, and with educational support professionals, whether or not they're getting paid, what is their safety, what are the things that are happening. And I think now is the time. We a lot of times say, we don't want to be political, but this is about life and death. And this is about getting services for all students and making sure that all students are fed and taken care of, and all children and families' needs are met. But not only families of our students, but families of our own educational support professionals and our educators. In Nebraska, we were like, okay, everybody, the teachers are getting paid, but their husbands may be laid off, or their partners, or their family, or they may have extended family that are living with them because they are out of work. So I think that, what you were saying about contacting and making sure that those things that we're working on. Special ed is a huge issue, Lily. Have you been hearing things nationally about what we can do with special education students to make sure that their needs are being met as well?
Absolutely. That has been one of our number one issues, because the law is so clear what a school is required to do for special needs kids that fall into special education category. Now that it's like school is closed, the building is closed, and this is not a snow day. This is something that will be a month. For some, they're not going to have school till the end of the year. They're closed till the fall, and different districts, different states fall into different categories. But the one thing we know is this is not a few days, and so you can't simply turn off the services to some of our most vulnerable students in this special education community. And so I do want to encourage folks to go up to, I know you have a lot of resources on your website, and I know that we've been able to share a lot of the national things that are coming out, but you can also go to NEA.org/coronavirus, one word, coronavirus. And one of the things that you'll find there are the guidance that have come out on special education, because there is still the need to serve special ed kids, but we're in an environment where it's not so clear.
Right.
And so people, especially special ed teachers, need to know what those discussions are. Every state, and even within a state, districts have been asking teachers to do different things with their special ed kids. We will tell you the bottom line is we do not approve, and I know you don't either, of putting anyone's health in danger, not the students, not their families, not the teacher. So if someone says something like, well, this child, you need to go into a home, or we're going to keep having these kids show up in a classroom. Depending on what the situation is, you may want to challenge that. And
Definitely.
you'll have, some of this is very, very specific, where it's someone who is homebound and you have protective gear. And but the bottom line is we're at a stay home order in most states. So we're trying to find ways to deal with students, with their families, and having someone go into a dangerous situation where it doesn't seem dangerous. You're visiting somebody's home, but you have no idea what kind of exposure the folks in that home have had. And they have no idea where you've been.
That's true.
So, I mean, we're not saying somebody's wrong or somebody's bad or somebody's dangerous. I may be dangerous. It depends on what I touch today. It depends on if I open the door and touched a doorknob after some stranger opened the door and touched that same doorknob. It's why we're supposed to be staying in our homes, because this is so easy to catch.
And for us, I've been a special ed teacher for 33 years, so I understand that the expectations and the things that are needed are different for special education. But I also know that being a member of the association is very important, and being able to reach out to our staff if there are specific questions about what you're being asked to do, what the expectations are, if it's if they're unreasonable, or if there are things that are being needed. That's why we have staff that are working very hard, I know in Nebraska and across the nation, to help our members to navigate this very new reality that we're living in. And we, sometimes we don't have all the answers, but we sure as heck are going to look for those and try to figure out. I mean, I've been looking on school district websites just to see the difference. We have about 250 school districts in Nebraska, and each one is doing something a little different. They get a directive and we get a little bit different. But I looked at Lexington Public Schools, which is a small, very diverse community and kind of in the middle of the state. And I was on their website the other day, and they had some remarkable special education resources on there. They had coronavirus social stories for kids that were lower, that needed maybe a social story. I mean, I was really impressed. I called Maddie and said, you would not believe this website. There are so many good things. So I think some of those things that we are getting together to make sure that we have some resources for folks as well, that we want to make sure. And it's hard because there's a lot of things on websites. NEA is doing a great job. We have resources on our websites, but people are really busy. And sometimes it's just easier to reach out to our staff and say, hey, this is what's happening to me as a special ed teacher or as an educator, and we need some help. I think Maddie might have wanted to jump in on something.
Yeah.
Maddie?
Yeah, let me jump in on a couple of these safety things. Folks, we know that some of you are still being asked to report to buildings, and we have sent out specific guidance to all of our local presidents. Superintendents and administrators have a responsibility through the Code of Conduct to provide health and safety for both you and your students. And if you feel that you are currently in a situation where your health and your safety is being jeopardized, that you have a right to go to your association president and to say, hey, we have a problem here, and to look for a remedy. If you're struggling with that, we also ask you to reach out to your organizational specialist and talk with them. We're also going to be reaching out to several state legislators in the coming week about that, because a lot of people don't understand that we still have teachers across the state and paraprofessionals who are reporting. And if there's a reason, we know that some people do have the ability to come and help. For instance, getting food out to families we know is crucial. And we have some people who are doing that work. But if you're just walking in a building to sit in an empty classroom doing work that you could just as well be doing from home, maybe you should be doing that. So we are working with our organizational specialists, and we'll be continuing to get the word out, because the governor has said very clearly, students are not to report to schools. However, staff can still report to schools, but they're not supposed to be in rooms of more than 10 people. We know that some administrators, while many are doing an incredibly good job, just like 99% of teachers are doing an incredibly good job, we have a few that may need a little help that are making not the best decisions. We also have some administrators that are not making the best decisions, and we're trying to work with them with some better decision making. Also, for those of you who may be being asked to do a home visit, if you feel that it is an unsafe environment, just like any home visit, you don't have to go if you feel unsafe. That is not something that you should be, a situation you should be put in, and you need to be having that discussion with your administrator about that.
Thanks, Maddie. I appreciate that. So Lily, this is a very stressful time. And, we were on a call with all of our presidents and execs, and we were talking about, the mental health of our families and the mental health of our educators and our support professionals, and just, how we can help each other. But, looking at even just as busy as folks are, someone said, well, how do we de-stress ourselves? What do we do? I have 7 grandkids. I miss them very much. They all live very close to me. And so I'm very accustomed to being with my grands, and I cannot. So today was a social distancing driveway, and I got little gifts ready for them, and they came and they got their gifts and went back out to the car, and I stood in the driveway or in the garage. And so, I mean, that's de-stressing for me. Walking, being outside a little bit helps me a lot until my allergies kick in. And then you start coughing, and then everybody looks at you like there's something wrong with you. What do you, I know you love music, Lily. What do you do to de-stress yourself?
Got my guitar right here.
Yes.
And now I'll be practicing my "Don't Stick Your Finger Up Your Nose" song.
Yay! I think that would be so awesome.
So, Jenny, you just gave a perfect example of the kinds of things that we can do. One of the things I'm actually here. I live in Washington, D.C. But if you know me, I got married a few years ago. My husband's from Mexico. He has a tiny little business, a little print shop business here in Juarez, Mexico. And when I heard they were going to close the border 2 weeks ago, I just went, okay, put a toothbrush in my purse, got on the next plane, wrapped a scarf around my head, and came to Juarez, Mexico. So that's where I'm sitting right now. And I can do whatever I'm going to do. What I was doing at my house with Wi-Fi, he's got Wi-Fi in his house. So, I got my little office here. If I turned around, you could see that I had an unmade bed right over there. So we're all being fancy. But for me, music. And I will tell you, it's very stressful for families too, because these things are growing out of our ears. We're like this all day long. We're on the internet. We're answering email. People want to be connected more than ever before. I've never seen anything like it. I am not working less. I know a lot of teachers out there, this is not a vacation for you. You are still being required to find meaningful ways to engage your kids. You're calling them, you're making packets. We have some places, they're being so creative. And for some of them, there were bus drivers and lunch ladies who said, if the school isn't open, our kids can't get their breakfast and their lunch. And these are kids whose moms and dads are working hard, maybe in places they shouldn't be working because they should be home, but they're out there trying to make sure that they can feed their families. So they're showing up on the job, and their kids don't have anything to eat. So those bus drivers and lunch ladies with masks and gloves and everything else are packing the lunches. They told the parents, have your kids out at the bus route, just like they were going to get on the bus, but they're not going to get on the bus. The bus driver will be delivering their lunch to them. And in some cases, the bus driver will also be delivering a homework packet to them, because they're the kids that don't have the internet, and maybe there's one smartphone in the family, or mom or dad took it to work with them, so they can't even use that. So people are being very, very creative. But back to your question, Jenny, it's not downtime. It's stress time, and it's hoping you're doing it right, because you're not sure. You've never had to do it this way before. What if there's a better way of reaching those kids and you just don't know about it? So folks are looking on the internet, they're connecting with each other, they're going up on websites, and all of that's good. But the self-care, the care that you give your students, your own children, your spouses, your parents, if you're lucky enough to still have your parents, you're worried about them. You're worried about your own brothers and sisters. So all of the above. I will tell you this. I have cried more in the last 2 weeks than I have in the last 2 years. I'm usually a pretty tough cookie and a pretty happy person. And if I have not personally given birth to you, you can't really make me cry. You know, there's like a group of people that, you know, that I care so deeply about but I can see the stress level in me. I spoke to the delegate assembly in South Dakota yesterday.
Yep.
As they did it, just, you know, they did it on a Zoom call, and I called in and gave my keynote speech in 4.5 minutes. And I said, I'm so proud of you all. And I started to cry. I mean, it wasn't even anything that I was talking about that was sad.
They're accustomed to me crying. I cry at everything. Maddie's laughing.
I mean, I'm there going, people are gonna horrible. It's like, is she dying, or are they taking? And honestly, it's kind of like, I don't know what's going on here. That doesn't even make sense. But it's coming out in liquid form for me. Yep. Is all of this stress. And so part of
Better
it
coming out in liquid form than going in liquid form all the time, Lily.
Yeah, that might be too. Yeah.
You know, but we could go there too. All right. So let's not. But the bottom line is, we're dealing with something, and we see our reaction. We see that we're getting angry, or we see that we're crying, or we just want to sleep. We want to go to bed at 8 o'clock at night, and we can't, and we're not sleeping well. All of this, you need to just kind of take it all in, and you don't want to, accept it or say, well, I guess this is just the way it's going to be. But there's something a little healing when you say, oh, this is very normal. Mm-hmm. Yes. Crying at things that you shouldn't really be crying at, or not being able to sleep well, or losing your temper over something really, really that you shouldn't have lost your temper at. Feeling depressed, right. Just feeling depressed and sad. In my family, 2 weddings got postponed. Funerals are being postponed.
Yep.
Things like graduation parties. I'm going out of office.
Yeah.
And see how sad I am? It's like my husband and I are finally going to live in the same house. Yeah, we're going to see how
Don't
that.
cry.
Yeah, but I mean, big changes, and you're kind of going, and I don't know what's going to be happening with me going out of office. I know a lot of folks on a call like this are folks that might be elected to go to the representative assembly, our national yearly conference, where we vote on things because we're crazy and we love 10,000 people in a room using parliamentary procedure. That causes brain damage. But
Don Heinemann's probably on here, our parliamentarian. He's
all
probably
right,
like wondering,
parliamentarians.
what are we going to do about that? Yeah.
Well, and the thing is every state I know Nebraska, I know South Dakota said there are certain things we have to do. There's certain elections we have to hold.
Yep.
And we can't sit in a room and go, all in favor, say aye, and have, in NEA's case, literally almost 10,000 people show up. They're saying don't be in a room with more than 10 people.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me that there's not going to be big changes. We're coming up with those changes. We're figuring it out this week, and we'll make some announcements on what we can do, what we can't do, what we have to wait to do. But all of the above is very stressful in my life. People have their own, like, it's my mother's birthday, or my mother's in a nursing home.
Or my daughter's having a baby next week.
Oh my gosh. And I can't be there the way, I mean,
Yeah.
everybody has something where they're going, but I can't not do that.
Yep. I know.
Not to do that.
Yep.
So, Jenny, you can't tell me, Maddie, you can't tell me that the folks that are on this call right now haven't figured something out where they're saying, for me, because this isn't work, no one's giving you, continuing ed credit for it. They should. All right. But whatever it is, they're saying, I need to stay connected. I need to know there's someone out there that knows what I'm going through, might give me some ideas, because I'm a little frustrated. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do tomorrow. So they're on this. This is not just about their professional development or what they need for their job. I'm on here right now because I'm scared of Jenny, and I just do anything that she said. And she said, I would like you on this call. I said, yes, ma'am.
And that you care. I think that's a bigger thing, Lily, is that we care. And we want to make sure that people know that we care, and that when they have a question, that we're going to try our best to answer it, and that we're going to try our best to be helpful, because everyone's in the same boat. We're all learning different. I think Maddie has some questions that she wants to answer.
Jenny, I also want to make sure one of the things that's just coming out from Blue Cross Blue Shield in the last week is that, in addition to, we'd said that Blue Cross Blue Shield was making the doctor visits that are being done via telephone, that those were free if they were using the Amwell app. Well, now they're
telehealth, yes.
The telehealth. Well, now they're expanding that so that if you need to do telehealth and your own provider has a platform that they use, so maybe you've got a counselor that you're used to seeing and you wish to be going to that counselor, you can now, if your counselor goes ahead and uses their own telehealth app, however they want to do it, Zoom or whatever, and then they code that telehealth, you will not receive additional expenses for that. So we want to make sure that members know that they don't have to just use the Amwell app anymore. They can work with their own personal provider, and if they code it for telehealth, that will be no additional cost for our members. I know we had several members who reached out to us and said, I think this is great, but I'd like to continue with the provider that knows me best. And of course, we all want to do that. So that's something new that Blue Cross and Blue Shield is offering. I also want to make sure that one of the questions on here is, what are we doing for our paraprofessionals? We know that a number of our districts have already said, hey, we know how important. I was so proud of Westside, which is my son's school district. and the email that went out from Dr. Lucas to his paraprofessionals saying how important they were. I know Dr. Joel, who was with us last week, has done something similar, and the school boards are passing resolutions to make sure that their paraprofessionals are paid through this. However, if you're in a district where you're not being paid, we strongly encourage you to apply for unemployment. If you are somebody who regularly substitutes and you're not able to sub right now, you need to apply for unemployment. It's very important. There's a number of benefits and enhanced benefits that are available via the bills that Lily mentioned that have been passed, and you need to be taking advantage of that. Senator Kate Bowles on her legislative website has a very good primer of all things that are available right now through the government for people who need them. And Senator Kate Bowles, B-O-L-Z, I would encourage you to go to her website and look at that primer. And if you, it's got lots of really good information on there. But we are working with school districts. We're encouraging them, saying, hey, paying your paraprofessionals is really important. Literally, we're really lucky. We found a law from 1919 that said that teachers have to be paid through a shutdown and a pandemic. And so our teachers are already covered by state law. I know. We found that by fluke.
We don't move very quick in Nebraska to change things. We're all right.
No, that's right. We're very happy about that one. But it did not cover, not only did it not cover our paraprofessionals, some people say it didn't cover administrators. And so school boards have been working to take care of that. But we know that that's a grave question for a number of people. And so we strongly encourage you to take advantage of those benefits.
And let me add what Maddie just said on this unemployment insurance. Part of that, and there's lots and lots of details, but luckily you've got some Nebraska staff. All you have to do is call your OS person, your organizational specialist, and they'll be able to tell you exactly what you may or may not qualify for. But look, whenever someone has applied for unemployment insurance, you have to prove that you're out there looking for a job. You have to say how many places you've applied, which makes no sense in this environment. And so what we were able to do was get unemployment insurance to make sense in this environment. So no, it's not, if you're saying, well, I know I'm not looking for a job, so I can't, new rules, better rules. You, whether you think that you, don't qualify, don't make any assumptions. Find out the new rules because you should be able to take advantage of it.
Yeah, and there have been, if you guys watch the governor's press conference that's held Monday through Friday at 2, several times they've had people on there from the Department of Labor. They are struggling because the requests are just like 100-fold what they normally get. And the system was automatically kicking people out. I know many of you know my niece Maria was staying with me and her friends were trying to apply for unemployment and they were getting kicked out of the system. And they're saying, just stick with it because they're trying to modify that system as it goes. We've had a couple people comment about Zoom and some concerns over student and teacher use of Zoom. If you look on my Facebook page, I posted something from some teachers earlier this week that shows exactly the settings you can set for the highest safety factor, which is a great thing. We also have been networking with state associations throughout the country, and we've come up with some really good guidance for teachers in using these online platforms, and we hope to be releasing that in the coming week. We're also working with the Counselors Association because we know that, I know one of the questions I just asked, somebody said, is there any talk, are we coming back early this coming year? We haven't heard that. We also haven't heard that we don't believe summer school will be possible in most places. That's the current belief, but we'll have to wait and see what May brings. But we all know whenever we do go back to school, we're going to have some lessons in the bag because we need to help our kids, Maslow before Bloom, right? So we're going to have to help our kids process this. So we're working with people from the Counselors Association. We're going to put together a packet of lessons that you'll be able to use at your grade level, different things you can look out for to help as you get back into the swing of things. Finally, before Jenny, I turn it back over to you for more questions. I do want to ask that everybody may have read in the paper today about our friends at the YRTC Kearney, the Youth Rehabilitation Center Kearney. It was in today's paper that they did have some staff there test positive for COVID. And so today and tomorrow, they're testing all of their staff. And the teachers there then won't report until they get the results back. So everybody send some positive prayers and karma, whichever your favorite thing, their way. We hope to keep them healthy, just as we want to keep all of you healthy, which is why it's important that you make sure that your administrators have those protections for you in place. I drove by a major employer here in Omaha the other day, and all these cars were snaked around. And as I watched, they were checking the temperature of every single employee before they were allowed to go in. They were asking them those questions. You should be able to do those things also before you go in your building and before other people come in your building. And we've sent all that information out to your local association presidents and to our OS staff. So if you feel that you're having problems and that you are not being cared for in the way that you need to be as a professional educator, please reach out to your organizational specialist, email Jenny or I, and we'll get on the horn with that just as soon as possible. Jenny, back to you.
Thank you, Maddie. Thank you, everybody, for your questions. We really appreciate them. And we know that, like I said, we were on a national, once a week, Lily gets on a call with all the presidents and the executive directors, and it was very emotional. I had a really hard time this last week when we were listening to our presidents talk about members who are passing away of this disease, and just the things that you don't think of. You don't have all of these things in place. That what do you do if a member or a member's family, and what happens when someone tests positive? And the same thing, YRTC, Lily, is our youth detention center. And so those children who are incarcerated, and then our teachers that are working there. So that's a very close quarters, of course. And we, it's affecting people across the nation, and we just have to continue to give each other grace. And I keep using that word as something that we're, one of our superintendents was on last week from Lincoln Public Schools, and he said there wasn't a handbook anywhere on the pandemic. Like, what do you do when there's a pandemic? And how do you, and even if there was, Zoom wasn't around when when the handbook was written or whenever, because everything changes every day, every minute. And so, being a leader is a difficult thing to do. But we also want you to know that we are helping as much as we can. Are you seeing, Lily, any just extraordinary things that you'd like to share with us from across the nation that you've heard of? You're on mute, Lily.
Yes, I started coughing, so I muted myself and then I forgot. Oh, well.
Not a problem.
And Becky Pringle, my vice president, likes to point out that I always brag that I have a master's degree in instructional technology, which I got in 1983 on an Atari 800. So she's always very, very impressed when it's like, excuse me, but I do have a master's degree. So you would think I would know how to unmute myself. But
we learn.
We do learn. And Jenny is always on those calls. I was so glad Jenny and Maddie were talking to 49 other states about the kinds of things you're doing on to reach out to your kids, whether that is like Maddie was saying with a $10 TV antenna, you can tune in to Nebraska teachers delivering a meaningful lesson to kids who aren't going to get it any other way. But I'm so impressed beyond the technology, beyond the professional design of curriculum that we're all doing. What has really touched me is the love, just the pure, I love my students and I need them to know that I'm okay, because I think they might be worried about me, and that I need to know they're okay. There was an elementary school in Vermont. I was talking to our colleague, Don, who's the Jenny counterpart.
Cracks me up, yes, Don.
Yes, and he likes to call himself Grumpy Cat, because if you see Don, he looks a little like a grumpy cat.
A little like Grumpy Cat, yes.
But we were just talking about something else that was going on in Vermont, and he said, you'll get a kick out of this. And it wasn't a report. He just said, this elementary school, the teachers and the support staff in this rather small school, the kids went home on Friday And the decision was, we're not coming back on Monday. And so nobody got to say goodbye to the kids. Nobody got to give them any kind of hug or pat on the head, or, because that was the problem. We're not bringing the kids back in. We shouldn't have physical contact with these kids. We're going to be sending the message out that school is over, maybe for the year. And these teachers were distraught, and they wanted so much to tell their kids goodbye, and we're going to be okay, and calm them down. So what they did is they called all their parents, and it's a small community, and they said, we are going to have a parade in our cars with the lights on. We're going to have this caravan of cars with the windows down, so that please, would you have your kids standing outside on your sidewalk in front of your house? We've got a map. We've mapped it out on where we're going to drive in this caravan, honking our horns and flashing our lights and waving at the kids as we slowly pass by the houses. And some of them took videos of the kids jumping up and down and throwing kisses to their teachers, and the teachers honking their horns, and half of them crying. That's what I think about. The social, emotional well-being, not only of those kids that are counting on us, but it goes back to that self-care too. Because those teachers were not just worried about their kids, they felt horrible that they didn't get to say goodbye to their kids.
Exactly.
They were sad. It was like, where are they?
We are having that, Kim Erickson, I think she's on this call, but her band students came and stood in her driveway and played for her. Here in Norfolk, Nebraska, and she is trying to teach band and orchestra via Zoom, and having parents have to tune violins, and it is fascinating for me to watch, because I have no skill in that, but she is doing an amazing job. I wish more of my educators would post that kind of stuff, because I think it's amazing. My daughter posted a very similar parade that went through her neighborhood in Omaha, and my grandson is in the 2nd grade, and his teachers did that, and the 4-year-old and 5-year-old were out there thinking they were in school, and they don't even know these people, and they were all out there waving and blowing bubbles, and they rode on the sidewalk. So I agree with you. I think that
not a small thing. It's not a small thing.
No, it's not. And we have kids at home too that we're really worried about, that we're in really, really difficult situations at home. We knew that coming to school was their safe place. And now we know they're at home and they don't have a safe place now that they can go to. So I think we worry about those students a lot. And I've talked to teachers, and I've talked to principals that have called me with situations that are heartbreaking, because they're in those situations right now. And I said, the best we can do is to continue to reach out and do, the very best we can do to try to get that together. So
let me tell you this, the funniest question I got from a reporter last week was, well, Lily, now that parents can see how easy it is to teach their kids at home, aren't you worried that folks are going to go, wow, we don't even need schools anymore. We'll just do it all online. And I laughed and I said, you need to call at random, I would say 5 parents, and just ask them to answer the question you just, because they now are saying, I had no idea. I had no idea that how do you guys do this? I'm doing it with 2 of my kids. You do it with 32 kids. And on a rainy day recess. And so I said, No, actually, we think that the unintended consequence of all of this is going to be that people will want to pay us $1 million a year for what we do, because now they know a little bit of what we do. And they also know that we are not replicating what we can do in a classroom where kids learn from their smart questions, not the memorized answers, but teacher, what about this? That they learn from each other, that they engage, that part of what they're learning how to do is to work as a community in a little group. They're being creative. They have teachers that say, that is not on the lesson today, but you just gave me a great idea, and we go off and running into another direction on something that is meaningful to those kids. And the other end of that was a reporter who was talking to me while it looked like a 6 or 7-year-old ran in the room asking her for something, and she's like apologizing all over. I'm so sorry. That is so unprofessional. I'm so
I've
sorry.
seen that, yeah.
And yeah, and I said, how's it going? Let me interview you. How's that going with your little one? It's like, oh my God, how do you, and it was real. So
Yeah.
I think we will use this as a bargaining chip in the next contract negotiations throughout the United
Someone in the comments put, during our parade, a parent made a 6-foot sign that said, please take our kids back. That's awesome. Okay, we're about finished, Lily. I think Maddie has a couple things she wants to say before we wrap it up. You've been fabulous. Just a minute here, Maddie.
Yeah, this has been great. Lily, I know you've been caught up in the day-to-day and trying to get things done that are happening right now, but I was just wondering if you have had any chance to think, or you can share with the folks who are listening to us, what is NEA working on next that maybe teachers need to know about or think about or be contacting their congressman about?
They are actually now, the House and the Senate will be looking at a new packet. The trillions of dollars that are going to be going to states sounds amazing, but think about every state having a Katrina or a 911 all at the same time. And so what we are still working on is we believe they have not given us even half of what states are going to need with the revenue that states are not going to see because businesses went out of business or had no customers. And the revenue that has been churning to fund a public school will not be there. So they have to give districts, they have to give states earmarked money, not to build a bridge, earmarked money for public education so that we don't end up having to lay off support staff and teachers and have classrooms with 50 kids in it.
Yeah.
And so that will be, you'll be getting some emails about more money for your school districts, and it has to come from the federal government. You know, all of those people that for years and years and years have said, I'm against big government, and you know, the government isn't the answer, government is the problem, and all of those things. And that sometimes comes from Republicans and sometimes it comes from Democrats. What I'm telling you now is when you have a big crisis, you need a big institution. If we were all just going to look around and go, you're all on your own, good luck to you. If we didn't have a national government that could say, even if we have to borrow money to get these states what they need, the infrastructure, and we see public education as the fundamental piece of the infrastructure of any community, could go out of business. And I'm not kidding, where you say, we can't open the doors. I guess we'll just keep doing this online, knowing that we are not replicating the quality education we are in this crisis with our students in the way that we do in a public school. So that's what folks can look look for, we are going to be very specific in what's coming up for education. When we ask you, please pick up the phone. Here's the click here, or here's the phone number to call. Honestly, we're not giving you busy work. The more people who call, by the way, put it on your Facebook page and tell everybody. Yeah, I mean, and I mean, the people watching this, put it on your personal Facebook page. Tell the public, do this. It'll make
the activists. You have to be, they've got to hear your voice, friends. I mean, it's all fine and good for us to get on Facebook Live or to do those things, but now is the time. It is dire time that we need your voices. We need them to hear what's happening in your classroom. Your classroom is different now, but your classroom is going to come back, and your classroom is going to be more needy, and we're going to need those resources from the government. And there are resources. It's already our money, and we just need it to come back to us. And we need to hear that nationally, but then we also, a lot of times they say, just give it to the states. Well, then we need to make sure that the states are doing what they need to do as well. So our responsibility to our students is to be their voices and to be activists. And we will be sharing that information as soon as we get it. That's why we're on these calls. And we cannot thank you enough, Lily, for joining us. Several people said that you should sing a song. I don't know. You could have a guitar right there, you said.
Well, we'll do that next time when
next time. And you could do it in your teacher TV, which we know we're going to be counting on that.
I love that idea.
You might have to have your husband record you and get you some help with that technology. But then I will send you the email to send it to, so that we can upload it to our teacher TV. And those of you who are on tonight, there are hundreds of people watching and listening. We really do need you. We have, 4 hours a day to fill. That's a lot of hours, plus Spanish TV. So if you have any lessons that you want to upload, please go to our website, look under the volunteer link, and we can get those taken care of. We have had some national folks who have shared some things with us. We've had some college professors share some lessons with us. So, and now we're going even into some high school students that are Ed Rising chapters who are wanting to do some things as well. So we are really reaching out. Also, those webinars, we have a webinar coming up for self-care that is being offered by our EHA through our wellness program. So folks, there are things out there, and never, never, never hesitate to reach out and ask a question. There are no stupid questions ever during this time, ever. There aren't any stupid questions, but we will get you the answers. We'll get you to the right people to help you. And I think that I have covered everything. Maddie, is there anything else that you need to say to anybody?
Just one thing.
One more thing.
We're not going to be on next week because it's Easter.
Oh, that's right. I have that written right here. Do you think I said it? No.
That's okay. You know what, folks? For those of you who celebrate Easter, we hope you have a blessed Easter and you enjoy hunting Easter eggs. I've seen that people are now putting pictures of Easter eggs in their window. So as you walk with your kids, you're supposed to be finding the eggs.
Yes, the great egg hunt.
That's right. If you don't happen to celebrate Easter, I hope you have a wonderful weekend with your family and that it's beautiful enough that you can get outside and enjoy some beautiful weather while maintaining 6 feet of social distance from everybody.
Lily, you stay safe and just stay there. Tell your husband hello from all of us. And we will see you again next week or this week on several calls, and we will be in touch. Thank you very much. We appreciate everything you're doing, and we appreciate you taking the time to be with us tonight. God bless everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Good night, friends.
Good night, friends.